Hello, everybody, and welcome to round 3 of the SRO World Series Championship, consisting of 4 series over the year. This is Series 3, where we are back into the 80s. The F1 1984 Championship, brought to you live here at Sim Racing Online. We are treated today to a little bit of rain in the forecast at Imola. We are on the track now, but before we get too far into this, I want to make a word to our sponsor here. Let's not forget that all these things come out of pocket unless we have a sponsor, and we were lucky enough to get Liberty Footwear to sponsor this series for us. So let's give a shout out to those guys. These are handcrafted boots and footwear built in America, custom order. You can go online to their site, get them your size, tell them what you want. They will get to work on it and build you a custom pair of boots or footwear of any style that you need. So let's give a shout out to them. Make sure that you tell them that Randy Merrick sent you. He is one of the sponsors as well with Merrick Farms, and he is racing with us today. So jump on the website, give him a shout out, and yeah, let them know that you appreciate them helping us out here. All right, so let's get a little stuff out of the way here. Today we have a little bit of treat for you. Let's have a look at the weather. As I'm sitting here with my sidekick Woody is with me here. He's put together all these beautiful overlays for us, so you can see today it looks at 50% through the race. We are going to have a bit of rain. So they're in the practice session now, which is actually in the rain. So that'll give them a little bit of a heads up. So other than that, I'm going to give you the engine, and Woody's going to tell you a little about these engines. As you can see, the graphic is up there now. Woody, give us a note on these engines.
Good evening, Rob, and welcome everybody to Imola. We are going to be using the 1984 cars, as Rob said. The 1984 cars it's at the turning point in Grand Prix when turbo engines were on their way in. Naturally aspirated engines are on their way out. And today our drivers do have access to 2 engine modes. One is the qualifying mode and the race mode. Both have advantages and disadvantages. Qualifying mode is definitely faster, but it has an elevated fuel consumption. The race mode has better fuel consumption, but is a little bit slower. So drivers will be switching in the cockpit and pushing the knob on the steering wheel up and down, depending on where they are in the race, I'd imagine. Now, these cars do have choices of 4 tires, and I would imagine that most of the tires that we're going to be using this time are going to be wet tires, but they do have access to softs, mediums, and hards. These cars as well had compounds from Michelin, Goodyear, and Pirelli back in the day. So interesting strategy, I think, Rob.
Yeah. Well described there, as we see the tire graphic there. So yeah, these drivers have a lot to think about today, as we are about to get into quali here. I think we have about 6 minutes remaining. Is there anything else that we wanted to cover? I know that these guys are all looking forward to the curbs here at Imola.
And we are partway through the series. It's only a third round of 6. So we have 3 rounds to go. So perhaps show everybody the schedule.
Yeah, here is the schedule. The schedule is up now, as you can see. We are currently round 3, and then we'll be in France for round 4 in August, and then back into Italy for round 5, and to Germany for round 6. So this is a well-rounded European schedule. It should be really good. Let's take a look at the current standings. You can see, as the standings are up there now, we got Lars Hagerman up leading the points with 112 total, and then right behind him is John Vandergeest, but he's about halfway. I mean, he's got a 60-plus point lead on Vandergeest, and but Philip Fischler in third is some 52 points, so within reach of Vandergeest, and then Ed Jones in fourth with 50 points, tied with Ollie Bateson, both with 50 points. And then Tony Talvitier, who has missed round 1 and only been in 1 race, which he took the victory, has a solid 40 points, finding him in 6th. Just ahead of Bjorn Hagerman, the brother of Lars, who of course, our leader. And then Matej Descobaler, 38 points, tied with Mark Hightree from Flank Crowbar Racing. And then Costas Cantadores, 1 point back, and that is your top 10. So, with that said, we still have a little bit of time here to check it out. I'm looking for...
there we go. We've got to correct the points a little. I think the leader is on 76 to 63, so it's not as far out as the graphic does show. So we'll correct that for next time.
Oh, okay, right on. Those things happen.
So it's going to be close for the remaining 3 rounds.
Yeah. And we are here in the European Grand Prix, as you can see by the postcard there. And let's go ahead and bring up the tower, and we'll look at a couple of times here. And see what these guys are doing with the last few minutes of practice here. Kind of get an idea what kind of laptop times these guys are getting in a wet practice. And it looks like Jean Renries is quickest on the board so far with a 1:29.3. He must have been practicing in the rain. Yeah, and just within a second as Smythe with Van Roggen, just some 2 seconds off of that pace. And then you can see a lot of different times there as these guys are, I'm sure, getting their feet wet, so to say, in the rain. We are scheduled to do a dry warm-up. The race should start dry, so I believe when we get to the quali, I'm not sure. Woody, do you know what the quali weather situation is looking like?
We're just going to have to play it by ear. I'd imagine that there might be a sprinkling of weather, but we are unsure. The drivers are going to be... it's as much as a mystery to us as it is to the drivers. They've just got to hope for the best, I say. That the drivers out there at the moment are on wets. There's a couple of people trying dry tyres because the rain has been... I don't really see a drying line, but the circuit is probably going to remain wet for much of the race after the downpour happens. But I'm very interested to see. I've got my eyes on the pit lane, so I'm very interested to see, who's the first person to bite the bullet and pit onto wet tyres, and then possibly these drivers have got to survive on those wet tyres from mid-race onwards because it's a long race.
I can see. I'm giving you the graphic there again, as you can see, because it is showing up on the tower. Somebody's out there on softs. The wet tire will give you the blue icon, so just a reminder there to what to look for when you see the icon. So I see one Labelle is on wet, Van Roggen is on softs, and looks like Brown is on the medium. So interesting. In fact, with that said, where is Mr. Brown? Let's take a look at him on mediums. Oh, he's in the pit. So I wanted to see how he's getting on there. So here is Van Roggen on the soft tire. As you can see, there's no tread on those babies as we ride along within the cockpit. As he comes down into that bottom turn, ready to head out down the long straight finish. Now this track with these curbs and the chicanes they added, if you were with us for the 74 Porsche race with the AMS2, which was complete fun, these curbs were not there in that, and neither were any of these chicanes. It was just flat out around the old Imola, how it was in the day. So it looks like in the 90s here, they tried to slow it down. This is before a couple of the other section here at Sector 1 doesn't have the S, as you can see him right now going through. That's wide open. But they did have this little bit of a turn right here. So trying to slow it down a little bit in the 90s to get to what it is today and to keep people alive, basically. So really tough going on this track, I believe.
Yeah, the circuit was used, I believe, between, I forgot my facts right, up until 1994. And I think we all know what happened in 1994, unfortunately losing a couple of drivers there in the centre and Roland Ratzenberger. But changes, I mean, this circuit's been around since 1953. As you say, the old version of the circuit had none of these stupid chicanes in. And once it got to the 80s, the curbs got higher, the chicanes started to appear. And I mean, the only big changes from 1994 onwards or rather 1995, was the Tamburello first corner got made into a chicane. And it looks like we are ready for quali.
Yeah, we are heading to that time. So I have a pretty good view of pit lane here as these guys get ready for this session. 15 minutes, open session. Remember Sim Racing Online rules. If you wreck the car, you got to limp it back to the pits to get a new car. So if you escape from on track, your session is over. So keep that in mind as these guys are going out. Now it looks like the track is wet. So we have a little bit of sun with a wet quali. So should be interesting. Take a look at pit out there.
A few people are going to risk going on the slicks and hope that a dry line appears for the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We'll see.
I see that Summers is on the softs. I do see a few wets. Pagiola, he's also on soft. So they might not realize how wet it actually is, and they could be coming into the pits after this. And, it looks
it's worth a punt though, isn't it? Going on to dry tyres early on, getting a bag lap in, but we are quite close together. The spray is going to be a bit of a pain
yes.
in this session.
Here is John van der Geest on board. As you can get a look at that spray. He is definitely on the wets, but it's nice to see the sun out. But maybe with the 15 minutes, which 13, well, just about 14 left, if there is a dry line that comes through, these guys are going to have their hands full here.
And I think that Nick Westy is the first one that's going to be setting the time. He's actually on the wet tyre, so we'll get a representative time when he does his first lap.
Let's check with him now. I'm going to switch it over to the qualifying box so we can keep an eye on what he's doing here. And there he goes. So, first lap underway. It's a little bit less spray in that area, so there could be a little bit of dryness there. I remember, in our Factor 2, when it's the time to change to wets when you're actually racing. For me, it was like as soon as I saw the spray, I knew I needed to put wets on. So I'm seeing minimal spray on a lot of these cars as the sun is beaming down nicely on Westy there. As you can see, of course, it's the first lap, purple in the Sector 1 with a 15.5. It will.
Yeah, it looks like the majority of the circuit is pretty bone dry. There's only a couple of places.
Oh, he's got it all wrong right there.
A bit wet.
Lost a little bit of time there. Hitting a little bit of the grass as he's coming down into Sector 4.
Westy's actually going to catch the drivers that are only just starting their laps. Someone just spun in front of him, unfortunately. That was 12th place, and I think they've pitted. They are out. I think that was Jones.
Let's see, we're about to get our first time here, I believe. Unless somebody's already crossed. But here comes Westy now. A 1:35.9. So there is the time to beat. Of course, first lap purple in all sectors, so we will see who is next here. Looks like, let's get Randy Merrick's about to cross. Bjorn Hagerman with a 1:35.9. I had Merrick there, and I lost him. Van der Geest comes in, puts himself right behind Westy, some 0.8 of a second behind. And now Jacob Smythe takes the top spot as he crosses with a 1:35.7. There is Jacob in that beautifully painted Merrick paint job. MRC Racing. Nicely done. I am going to kill the tires right now so we only see the times. There we go.
So it does look like the first 4 are on wets, although Kanzuris has just popped up to 3rd on soft tyres, so I think soft tyres are now a go. Only 7/10 away from the next guy on track.
Yeah, it
So
looks
soft
like
tyres are probably the way to go.
definitely not seeing a lot of spray, so let's see back to Westy here to see if he has anything. He is yellow in the yellow, so he has lost time on this lap compared to his first lap, as he is pulling it into the pits to change. So let's see who is Michael LaBelle is about to cross. He is also coming to the pit, so I think these guys are probably going to put some fresh rubber on. As we see Bruno Paggiola, a new comer to the series. Welcome, Bruno. Got to see he was purple in Sector 1 and green in Sector 2, so he might be bringing some speed along with him as he comes across to put a time in, and he puts himself in 6th position. Not bad for the, don't want to call him a rookie driver, but he is a rookie to the series, and he's also on the softs, I believe.
Kanzer is currently in 4th. He's done first 2 purple sectors.
Let's take a look.
I believe he is one of the first drivers on dry tyres, so
he's coming through now. That chicane that is so frustrating when you are driving and you have to come into that chicane on that last Sector 3. It's a killer, and he's going to cross. I'm getting some positives on him, but it looks like he has done it. You were right, Woody. 1:33.4, some 2 seconds over Smythe and Westy. So Cantasaurus really pulled the cat out of the bag, so you can see the dry line now. In fact, let's jump on board. This is with Cantasaurus, who's also purple in Sector 1 of this lap. So you can see with nothing in the way, this is the bumper cam, that the track surface looks almost completely dry with just a few puddles.
yeah, it looks like the guys that started on slick tyres had their tyres all warmed up for their second lap out, rather than the wet tyres that the drivers would have had to come in the pits and change, and their tyres are all cold again, so they got the tyres nicely wound up. He's purple in the first 2 sectors again.
Yeah, he's going to put a ripper up here. As he comes down to that, I'm trying to, that turn 3, what is it called? Is it Tossa? No, it's Raviazza, right? Raviazza is the 13, Ravazza, 13, 14, and 15 section, which many races have been won and lost right there.
Very slow in that final chicane, but he was already 0.4 up on his own time, so he's only going to be beating himself. In fact, he doesn't actually improve, so he must have got it all wrong in that final sector. But there is a definite dry line all the way up through turn 1, which is the Tamburello chicane, and into turn 2, which is the Villeneuve chicane, into Tosa, as you said, for turn 3, an uphill left-hander, and up towards Piratella.
So 133.1 has been up there by Bjorn Hagerman. Let's take a look at him. He is also purple in Sector 1 now, so these guys are back on the dry tire. All right, I've got the feed up on my phone now, so make sure if anybody check in with us, the chat, to make sure everything's okay volume-wise. Let us know if we need to do any adjusting. Well, these guys are getting a little tight in there on that chicane. Holy smokes, I'm watching Bjorn now as he's remained purple in Sector 2, even though he was with traffic. There was 3 cars going through the chicane there as they come into Ravazza. So he's purple and purple again. Let's see what he is going to do. Hagerman, this is, of course, Bjorn. And the brother has also caught up to him, 0.7 behind. So we will see. This is coming through the final chicane. Still purple and purple. Oh, he lost a little bit of time in sector 3, but still at 133.8. Sometimes off, but look at who has jumped up on top. It is John Vandergeest in the Ferrari with a 132.3. What a lap by Vandergeest in the Ferrari. Beautiful looking car. So we focus in on him here.
Yeah, John Vandergeest currently second in the championship at the moment. He scored a 4th place and a 3rd place last time out, so he's looking for a good result at Imola.
He seems to be taking it to it as he's purple in both sector 1 and 2, heading up to the top chicane of sector 3. Rante Alta, yeah, the Alta, which would be the top of the hill, the highest point of the track. As he's coming down, he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, though. He's got the 12th place car from Michael LaBelle, who gives way. Oh, and there's contact, and just ruined his, what could have been a nice bolster to his already quickest. Well, for a second it was quickest, as Van Rogen has just put up a 130. But that was a tough break for Vandergeest there. Bad luck. That's all I can say. It looked as though Michael was giving him room. It's just he couldn't keep the energy away from throwing him to the outside, where Michael was. Wow. Okay, we are looking at Van Rogen now, who just had his own little incident. He was purple in sector 1 until he just had an off and put it against the wall, so he might have a little bit of damage there. As we are clicking it down, we're just under 4 minutes remaining. We've still got some drivers that are in the pits, probably just going to stay in the pits, not even coming out. Some of these guys just like to start in the back, so we'll see how that works out for them. I'm trying to get an idea who might be coming through here. Here is Bruno Pagala, who's down in 10th. He's on his out lap, so he is starting a fresh lap with just 3 minutes remaining, 25 seconds. Looking at my track map to see where the start finish is. My map is upside down, so a little tough there. Let's take a look at Gilles de Silva, who has not put a time lap in yet. Get a little onboard action. He's got his own custom drop. He is one of our painters at Sim Racing Online. Does a beautiful job on our liveries for the guys, as well as himself. So very cool stuff.
So currently, Kansuris, that was on top earlier, currently in 6th place. He has gone purple and purple after a little bit of an off in that last sector. So is he going to be challenging for pole?
Here he is. He's got traffic, though. As you can see, he's just dodging the traffic. But still purple and purple. Let's see if he's got anything for Smythe with that 129. And he does. Woohoo! 128.5. These times are just coming down and down and down. These guys are really starting to get it as this drying line has fully taken effect now. Guys can put the hurt on these. Let's just, for giggles, we'll put the tire graph back up so we can kind of see in this last minute here what kind of tires these guys are on. As these will be the closing laps here. I would presume most of them are on the softs. Yes, indeed. Everyone that is out is on soft tires. So there you have it. I mean, I'm sure as soon as they saw that 130s hit, everybody knew they had to get to the softs. So let's see. Jacob Smythe will be coming around, although he has lost a little bit of time in Sector 2. So I don't see him challenging Cantadores, which could be our pole sitter. Who else is coming through? Just behind him is Lauren Van Rogen. And he's on an outlap, so he is going to cross the line to start the last lap with 1 minute to go.
Pagiola has just come through the 2nd sector, which is he's currently 3rd at the moment. He's just coming down into the final 2 left-handers.
Yep, there he is.
In fact, someone has in his time. He's now green and green rather than purple and purple. It's Bjorn Hagman that's gone faster.
Vandergeest into 3rd.
He's going to cross the line from 9th. Now 2nd.
Yes, look at that, Hagerman. And then just behind him was Pagiola, who finds himself in 5th now. So this is it. 20 seconds left. These guys' laps will count. Looks like everybody down to 9th place has a lap that has started. And that was Philip Pitchler from 9th to 6th. So here is Philip now. Put in a nice lap there. Nice effort there to get himself into that top 10. And then the 13th place car of Ben Summers.
Looks like he might have had a little bit of an off. He's missing the front wing.
He is trying for speed with no wing. He pulls into the pit to get his nose fixed, so very good on him. So let's see who's up. 3rd is Jacob Smythe. He will cross the line first on this last lap. And Lauren Van Rogen is right behind him, but so is the leader, Costas. And he pulls it in. He's giving it up. So let's see if Van Rogen will go for it from 7th. He's purple in the middle, so just navigating that last chicane. Gonna move himself up. Oh no, we're on Vandergeest now. And Vandergeest puts himself in 2nd, and here Katsaros has retired to the pits, so I think we are there. As they change a little bit, Hagerman, who's in 10th, is now about to cross. And he does. Look at that. The Hagerman brothers have done it. Holy smokes.
Final car to cross. Final car to cross is Philip Pichler. He's currently in 9th. He's gone green and green. Up to 7th place.
And it looks like, where is Philip? Come on, Philip. I clicked on him. There he is. Oh, he's had a little bit of an off. So that lap is ruined. So I believe we have done it. This is it. Starting order.
I'm out of breath after that. Crikey.
Right? Wow. What a session. That was something else. Turn my mic down a little bit there. It looks like it was peaking. All right. So there you have it. That Hagerman, that ripper of a lap. The two brothers. Kantasaurus in 3rd, Vandergeest in 4th, Pagiola in 5th. As we get ready for the warm-up session. There's a good look at the pit out. So I would assume now these guys are going to go ahead and put the harder tires on, the mediums, maybe the hards, depending on what they want to do. I mean, the weather forecast is no secret, right? So these guys know what's coming. So I would hope that they would be able to plan their strategy wisely.
I think there's still a little bit of a mystery. We know around about when the rain is going to fall. It's just when the rain falls and where drivers are on the track at that point in time, and when they come into the pits. It's going to be unlucky for some, I'd imagine, when the rain does come. But I'd imagine that we haven't actually got an amount of rain. Is that there is a 100% chance of rain, but we don't know how much is going to fall. But
yeah, let's bring up that graphic again here. So as you can see there, the race start clear and sunny. 25% into this 60-lap race is when it starts to cloud up, and then right at halfway it shows overcast and heavy rain. So there must be a system that's coming through. And 75% through, it's about partially cloudy. But the winds are going to pick up during the rain too to 20, it looks like. And then the end of the race, it should have blown through. It should be clear as the start is. So it should be interesting to see if this dry line comes just like it did for quali from this rainstorm. And I believe it will. There's going to be plenty of laps with this many cars running out there. It should be pretty good. So looking forward to this. This should be pretty exciting.
I mean, quali should, as you say, should give them a good idea of how the track is going to dry, because the track was bone dry within 5 minutes with all the cars circulating. So when the rain stops, who's going to be the first to dip straight back onto soft tires, or is someone going to try and keep their wet tires cool for the remainder of the race?
Right. These are the strategies that we shall watch unfold and what is part of this great series. So while we have this couple of minutes, because it is a standing start, we're gonna run through the starting order right here. As you can see, Lars Hagerman and Bjorn Hagerman, the two brothers, taking poles in the Renault, and then Kostas Kantasaurus and Jean Vandergeest filling out the top two rows. Then Bruno Pagiola, first timer, in fifth. Jacob Smythe in sixth. Philip Fischler in seventh, with Nick Westy in eighth. Then 9th through 12th is Lauren Van Rogen, Randy Merrick, Gil Da Silva, and Michael LaBelle. And good to see Randy in the top 10 there. Then we have Ben Summers, Dr. Pepper team, Ed Jones, Mr. Consistent, and Phil Brown, 15th, with Mark Heitree from Flying Crowbar Racing in 16th. And then bringing up the tail end will be Carl Strohal in 17th and Stefan Winham in 18th. So there is your round 3 starting order. As we are about ready to flick it over to the most famous words in sim racing.
I think for our viewers that weren't here last week, we do have some drivers that are going to gain a lot of points this time around, because our last time winner, Tony Talviti, is not actually present today. So it may be a different winner this time out, or for the first time this series, are we going to have a double winner?
Yeah, this is an opportunity. And without Talvitier, he missed round 1, and now he's missing round 3, but he has a win in between. So something to say about Mr. Talvitier and his amazing skills. But he has definitely missed event. So these guys look like they...
The only other driver to get a win this series is Lars Hagman. He's not been off the podium for the first 2 rounds, so if you're a betting man, I'll maybe put your money on him.
Yeah, that would be a smart bet if you ask me. As we see Phil Brown doing a little battling there on their warm-up laps. So kissing tires there. With, I think that was Hagerman. He's there in that Renault, I believe. So where is Bjorn? There's Bjorn. Mike is still out there in that beautiful paint job. Get a look at that. MR Racing. And then where is Randy Merrick? He's always got a great paint job as well. The corn farmer, he's got powered by corn. Good looking livery there. Big shout out to Randy. Randy's a big part of this championship, one of our sponsors, and he did bring on board our Liberty footwear. And let's not forget about Liberty, making this all possible. Look at the Castaway. Nicely done. All right, time is trickling down, and we are about ready to get started here. As I believe our host, John Vandergeest, will be getting ready to tick.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
There we go. Okay. We are ready to go. These guys are going to grid up. Let's see. If you were with us last week, you saw the immense pileup that was the start, where a lot of the key drivers were out of the race before they even got to turn 1. So let's hope for a better start today. It looks like a nice dry start, so we should be good to go. One of 60 laps. And here we go. And they're off, and Lars gets a good jump with his brother right behind, but on the inside, Kantasaurus gets a really good start and has found himself in second as the time as they head up into that first little bender. And there it is. Kantasaurus finds himself in second, just in front of the brother Hageman with Vandergeest in the Ferrari. Just behind in fourth and the fifth place Pagiola right there with him, as it looks like everybody's gotten through. Let's check back with the back of the field a little bit here as we go. Somebody's a little slow there coming out. These guys are making their way up the hill. A little bit of fuss, putting their toes in the grass there. Merrick right there getting his way through in 12th. And Phil Brown at the back here, the tail end. It looks like everybody's gotten through so far. I better not. Let's knock on wood. We want to make sure these guys all get it. Stefan Wyndham and Carl Strohal bringing up the rear. All right, back to the pointy end. Lars pulling out a little bit with Costas right on his tail. So Costas staying with Lars here for this first lap. Guys, you should enjoy the dry as they go. So the first three are on softs, with Pagiola starting on the medium, so perhaps he's going to try and stretch it out a little bit. Might have an advantage on these guys towards the middle as we are coming around for the first lap. Lap 1 completed with Hagerman Castores and Hagerman and Pagiola. Vandergeest drops down to 5th. Got a little bit of a fight going on here for 6th place with Nick Westy just ahead of Jacob Smythe. Battling for 6th position there. So I look down the line here towards the end into that Randy Merrick, Phil Brown battle. These guys are all bunched up here. This is 14th, 15th, all the way up to 12th. Kind of tied it up. There is LaBelle in 12th. Fights his way through. You can see Merrick just in front of this pack of cars. Oh, we've got it off right there. I couldn't quite see that.
That's Ben Summers.
Was it Summers?
Just going over the curbs, just finding out the curbs are quite high. Down in that chicane.
Okay, yes. And then Stefan Wyndham bringing up the rear there by himself. All right, so this battle here in the middle, as you can see, the brakes getting very hot. All right, we have done 2 laps and we have not lost anybody, so that right there is a success as they come through this last sector. Chicane, just a pain in the butt. All right, I'm going to...
Answers is going for the lead up to turn 3. That looked very, very easy.
And he got it, yes, he did. Putting Lars just out of position barely, and a brilliant move by Costas there to get that spot. Well, let's see if Lars has anything for him coming back. I think Costas is just getting it done. These two are breaking out. Let's see if Lars can even stay with him.
Now, if you remember from from 2 weeks ago, Kanzer has had significant pace, but he was caught up in that first line accident, so he couldn't show it. He was way down the order, but he was always one of the fastest cars on the circuit, so he's making up for it now out front.
Yeah, let's hope that he has a little bit better luck this week. As you say, he has a brilliant pace. You see those brakes are glowing hot as they make their way through. So back down to this battle for 5th. It's a lot as tight as it might seem, but Vandergeest just ahead of Nick Westy here. There is John in the Ferrari and Westy just behind him. In the battle for the top 10 here, we got Mark Hightree and Lawrence Van Rogen here battling for that spot. Hightree currently holding the 10th position. And just behind them, the battle for 11th and 12th. It's just behind them. You'll see them coming around the bend now. There they are. This is the battle for 11th with LaBelle just in front of Brown. But meanwhile, back to this front. See if Lars has anything for him. As they head up the hill. After Cosa. So, what is that? Priatella? Turn 5? Peratella. And then Manaraldi down here, right? Is that one? So, those curbs right there are the brutal turns on this track. Once it gets wet, I think we're going to have some incidents right there. So these guys are off.
It does.
Go ahead.
It does look like the top two have broken away from the rest of it. There's a certain clumps of cars. Third is now out on his own with 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th in close proximity.
Right. And it looks
with a gap all the way back to 10th, and then a bigger gap to 11th. So these drivers are setting the pace in first and second.
They are just running away. As we are now focused on Laurent Rogan currently in 9th. You can see this clump of cars back here in 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. They're all starting to spread out a little bit, which, I mean, in formula racing, that's not necessarily a bad thing if you are the driver, because you want clean air and you don't want to rub tires with anybody. So you basically just want to make passes and run away. As Randy Merrick just behind right here, 17th. So he must have had a little bit of an incident that we missed there, because he was up in the pack, and now he is back into just about the tail end with Stefan Winham behind him. And the top 10, Philip Pichler and Lauren Van Rogen. A little bit of a battle here. As you can see by the track map, they're all pretty spaced out. And it looks like, let's go back to this tail end battle, because Merrick, I believe, is going to be able to outpace Carl Strohal, and is probably looking for a way to get around, and he just does right there. So moving himself up back to get where he was. He's back into 16th, and De Silva will be next on his target list, with Ed Jones just in front of him. So you can see these guys. There is Jones and De Silva. Ed Jones. Let's see if we can get a shot off of his back wing. You can see the car trailing there. So he's got a pretty good gap. Ben Summers.
Jones is known in this series, or in this league rather, for being the tyre whisperer. So keep an eye on him in the tower, because he's normally plays the long game. So I'll be interested to see what strategy he goes for.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's very consistent. Our race yesterday, the LMU GT3 race, he and I were battling for that 6th position, and he was on me the whole last 15 minutes of the race, and I knew he had better tires. He was closing about a 7-second gap to under a second with a couple laps to go, so he would have had me if the race carried on. So to prove your point, that's exactly how he does it. He's very, very gifted in the tire preservation game. So up at the top, let's see, Costas running away now. He's got a nice gap on Lars, about 2 second, almost 3 now, up to 3 second gap, and then Lars has about a 9-second gap on his brother Bjorn. So, but who knows, are they going to have a little bit of a team play here? If Bjorn can catch up, these guys might try to slingshot each other around here. Looking for other close battles. Oh, Mark Heitree seems to have an op. Mark Heitree spinning. Currently in 10th. Can he get back on the track? He lost 1 position. Excuse me. But it looks like he's got a pretty good gap to 12th. So I don't see any damage. It looks like he's got all his wings. So just a driver off, I would assume. And just losing that spot to Phil Brown. Now is in the top 10. And Ben Summers is on Heitree's tail. Be interesting to see as we ride along with Ben here if he can catch Mark down the straight start-finish here. If he's got anything for him. It could be engine mixture time. Goes.
So it looks like the top 3 are on soft tires, so they're expecting to go all the way until when we have this downpour on these soft tires. The first medium tire runner is Paggiola in 4th. So does he know something the top 3 do not?
Yeah, that was a really good question. That's what we talked about that at the start, watching him take off on those mediums. halfway, so around 30 laps maybe. The rain is supposed to come. Since it's not a timed race, you can't be that predictable in R factor without a timed race. If it's a clock, you can pretty much figure out where 50% of the time is. But with laps here, I don't know where it might fall, because they could have slow laps, fast laps. Oh, whereas we watch Ben get a little air there off the curbs. Let's see, Lorenz, Van Rogen, chasing down Fischler. He's got to under a second, the gap. He is chasing him down for that 8th position. Smythe in front.
This layout of track is very, hard, I would say, hard to pass. There's only a couple of places where you can really get a run on the car in front. From turn 1 to turn 2, going down into turn 3 is probably one of the best passing places. If you can get under the rear wing through turn 3 and up the hill, then possibly up the inside there. But the rest of the course is quite tight. It's quite a difference from where we were 2 weeks ago at Kyalami, where it was just straights and more straights. So these drivers probably have less chance to pass, so strategy is going to be absolutely key.
Excellent point. Merrick has gotten around to Silva, as we saw. There is the Silva. Randy thought would be making his way up a little bit, but he's got that gap to Carl about 4 seconds back still. So the closest battle remains here for 8th position as Fischler holds on as they go through the Kirby chicane. Variante Basta, I believe is what that's called, yeah. 18 and 19. I remember when I was doing some observation laps, I wanted to do a few laps to have a good idea. And when I came around the first time, I didn't realize that this version had that chicane, and I was like, oh no, the chicane, and as I drove right through it, of course. So it's got to be a tough one on these guys if they got to slow that car down to a crawl to get through there. As these guys are now battling pretty tight. Van Roten has a look. He has a look. He's on the outside. He's trying to go around, and he does. He gets the spot. So Lorenz gets Fischler with a brilliant move. Some really good racing there. And now let's see if Fischler has anything to say about sticking with him, or if the pace of Lorenz was being held up by Philip. We will see now. They're at Alta.
The two leaders currently on 128 pace, though, so that was around 127, 128. Then from third backwards, they're in the 129s and 130s.
We've had an off.
That was Laurent just getting too excited. Now he did pass somebody. Unfortunately, he's had a spin.
Yes, and then he just gave up another spot to Phil Brown, who takes advantage, but he's coming back. Oh, they are bumping tires. Take it easy there, Lorenz. Okay, off again. So gather yourself. You lost a couple spots, but you're still in one piece, so stay with it. So Phil Brown has just been collecting spots after mistakes made, so good on him. Meanwhile, Vandergeest is catching up to Bruno. He's closing that gap. As you can see, the clouds are starting to gather as we ride along with Vandergeest through that.
Currently have Michael Lebel's in the pits. He's missing a front wing. I think that's our first retirement. Michael Lebel has retired.
Oh, unfortunate for Michael.
But it does look like the rain is starting to fall. So who's going to be the first to pop in the pits for wet tires?
Yeah, we're only 10 laps into this 60-lap race. As we look back at Summers, who's now challenging for 11th with High Tree just ahead of him, who had that slight off, knocked him out of 10th. And then Lorenz, who had his little incidents, he's still got a 14-second gap to High Tree, does Lorenz in 10th. So that top 10 is in pretty good shape unless he makes another mistake. But fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh are all tightening up here as it's starting to get a little bit dicey on the weather. They have a lapped car of Gil de Silva in the mix here in that Liberty Footwear spreckled paint job as Van der Geest looks for a way around. I believe these guys, are they not teammates? He's Gear Racing. I don't know if Gil is racing for Gear in this event, but I know he has in the past. So if that's the case, Van der Geest will be putting his, there he goes. Gil lets him around. So Van der Geest lost a little bit of time there, but is in fifth place. Now has to catch back up to Bruno. As sixth place now will be Nick Westy next to pass Gil.
We saw from qualifying, as you said, Rob, you watch out for as soon as the tyres start generating spray, you've got to think that might be the time to pit. But I'm guessing the rain is very, very light. We did say it was 100% chance of rain, but again, it didn't say how heavy the rain would be. So how wet is the track going to get in the next 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, this is a good point. And it is only one segment. So if you break the race up into 4 segments, as Westy gets around De Silva there, blue flag activity. Jacob Smythe will be next on that little caravan. As Bjorn Hagerman has just gotten around Carl Strohal, who was in 16th. So third place is lapped up to 16th now. And Pajola, some 5 seconds back of the podium there with Bjorn. But Bjorn is about 13 seconds back of his brother Lars for a second. So real pace deal there. As we focus on our leader here, who is coming up to the 14th place car of Randy Merrick. Trying to put him a lap down. And let's jump on board here because I don't see any moisture yet. It's just clouding up. So I think the rain might still be a ways off. Back in the pack, we got Ben Sumner's challenging Hydri. He's closing up. Oh, as he takes a little bit of a shortcut there. Hopping the curb. The Hydri. There is Summers in the back there. So that little bit of a curb gave Hydri a nice advantage there as Summers was closing it down. So Smythe closing in on Westy here for 6th position. But let's take a look at the top because that gap is coming down as these guys go through traffic. You can see Lars trying to get around Merrick. And Merrick gives way and lets him through. But I believe I got a little alert that they were closer than before, probably because Costas caught the back end of Merrick and had to slow down a little bit there. But the gap is under 3 seconds to the leader. As you can see them coming around now. There is Lars. He needs to be having a nice pace. Last laps, 128.4 for Lars and a 129 for Costas. That was the previous lap, not the lap they just crossed on. So that's where he gained that time up, was the lap before.
So it does look like traffic is becoming a little bit of an issue. Now, we're only, 10 laps in or so. That's maybe going to make some of the difference between some of these drivers who can get through the traffic a little bit quicker.
Yes.
And also bear in mind that for strategy-wise, these cars do not have any refueling capability. So you fill up, and you've got to manage your fuel consumption with the qualifying and race mode. So it's all up to the driver about fuel consumption. They don't have to pit either. So if they can survive on the same set of tyres as the rain starts to fall.
Yes, I'm seeing drops now. You can see it now as we are on board with Lars. So I believe they're going to be fine until we see the spray. Let's hope everybody can make it through as we are on board coming through that final section.
High Tree is pitting from 12th.
So probably coming in for wet. Trying to be proactive before it gets too dicey out there. Vandergeest just Bruno some 2 seconds ahead, about 2.5 second gap there. And these guys are both Vandergeest. Yep, he's staying out. I thought he might be coming in there for a minute. So this could be really good. High Tree still in, and he's coming out now. Here comes High Tree. Should rejoin in 14th. So I think he only lost a couple of spots. He's back in action on the wets. You can see that treaded wet tire. So High Tree ready to battle the storm as we close in on the leaders here. Lars has been working hard lap after lap. His last lap was the 128.8 and Costas was the 129.2, so he is closing that gap. As we'll see how patient these guys are going to be as it comes to the tire changes. They have to slow so much for that chicane that I can't tell if they're coming into the pits or not as we look at that, as they go through Bassa. Which kind of would be not a bad deal. I mean, you don't have to slam on the brakes to get into the pits. You're so slow anyway, you can just go straight to head in. So the rain's getting heavier. Vandergeest closing that gap to Bruno. They both are staying out. Just under 2 seconds now is the gap to fourth place for Vandergeest. Currently in fifth. Fischler has just gotten around Strohal. Merrick finds himself up into 13th. Remember, he had that little spin that we missed. But he was down into 17th. He's worked his way back up to 13th. Not too bad. He's only 7 seconds back of the tire whisperer, Ed Jones. But I believe we have, was that Lars or was that Bjorn? It was Bjorn who's closing in on Merrick. And Merrick pulls in, get a little bit of a toe up the hill after letting him through. The leaders are lap up to 13th now.
The last lap time for Mike Hightree was 1:38. So I'd imagine that's probably slow out of the pits and just getting tyres up to temperature. It'll be interesting to see what lap time he does for the next lap around. Now that there has been a couple of people spinning in the last corner, so it is getting a little bit greasy out there.
As we see, that gap is under 2 seconds now from Costas to Lars for first and second. You can see him right there. He has him in his sights. Down to this treacherous section of this chicane. Nicely done, staying off the curbs. Lars is very, very smooth through there. An excellent job of keeping his tires off of those curbs. Westy putting a little pressure on Vandergeest now. He's caught him. You can see a little bit of a break, a little bit of a sunlight coming through these clouds. I don't think the brunt of it is hit yet. So these two, we have the battle for fifth and the battle for the lead now as they get around Summers. So the gap is under a second. Oh, it's go time now. you see the blue skies. Was that it for the rain? Seems a little quick. I mean, lap 18 of 60. We're a quarter of the way through. And I did see some blue sky. Perhaps it's just an opening. As we got Gil de Silva now separating the leaders, giving them room, as that gave Costas a huge advantage there. The gap was less than a second, and now it's back up to 2. And Westy and Vandergeest, they're fighting for position. This is for position. Westy is all over him. As he goes for the pass on the outside, Vandergeest shuts the door. And we have who is that right behind them? This is the battle for 5th. So that's Smythe. It's 5th, 6th, and 7th are fighting right here, all grouped within a second of each other. Vandergeest making that car as wide as possible.
Yeah, I just got a sense of deja vu there, that the Ferrari defending up into turn 3. Of course, that was a famous battle with another Ferrari driver, Gilles Villeneuve, back in the day. I believe it was 1981 or 1982. I can't quite remember.
Westy's really having a go here. Oh, they're up both on the curbs. Vandergeest and Westy take the shortcut as Merrick comes into the pit, and so does Vandergeest. Vandergeest pitting, and following him in was Smythe, I believe. Westy stays out. So Smythe and Bjorn Hagerman pitting. So we've got 3 of the top 10 in the pits as we speak. But Hagerman's just now coming out. So Hagerman pitted. That must be what that was, because I saw him in the pit lane, but now he is out. So Hagerman pits. Go ahead.
Is this going to beat John Vandergeest out of the pits? He had a quicker pit stop. So he was able to pull out 1 second outside of the pit stop.
That was a really quick tire change. Jump on board with Vandergeest. You can see the treaded tires. So they are on the rain. Now, I haven't seen any spray yet, and I don't see any puddles. So we're really curious as to how this storm is going to affect the outcome of this race at this point. Vandergeest obviously thinking that it's going to get worse, as he just pitted as we saw sunlight coming through. So just like any other situation, it's unpredictable.
Yeah, the leader is pit.
Leaders in the pits. And out.
I see a little bit of spray, so it must be getting wet enough.
Oh boy, here we go.
Car's going off.
Yep. Bill Brown also in the pits, getting tired up, as well as Stefan Winham and Carl Strohal, all in the pit. So Lars taking over the lead. Costas.
I think Costas must have had an off just before Lars' pit stop, because he was 12 seconds down.
Yes.
So he's maybe trying to survive on dry tyres for this period, but
let's check
we'll
it
see
out.
whether this pays off.
Contosaurus, he is definitely on the wets. I'm riding on board with him now. He is on the wets. So he must have pulled in. He had to have pit for the wet, right? You told me the leader pitted. Lars.
Kanzouras has pitted, yeah. There's only one person. Ben Summers is going to try on soft tyres. He's the only person.
Uh-oh, we got to spin Carl Strohal off. And he's missing everything. He's got a yard sale. And he has retired from this race. Our second DNF. Smith and Weissy. So we got a group of cars here. Whoa. Was that Merrick back there spinning? Smythe currently. So I'm thinking that Lars outpitted Costas. Maybe that pass took place in the pit. The gap is now about 3 seconds in the right for Lars, our pole sitter, who gave it up on about the 5th lap, if I remember. Let's look at last lap time. So Costas did a 1:37.5 to Lars's 1:38.4, so almost a second better was the last lap. So he can close the gap. Meanwhile, Westy and Vandergeest whoa, Westy has a moment. Woo, it's getting slippery out there. You can see the puddles. Where is Ed Jones, the tire whisperer? It's Summers pits now, finally getting off of those dry tires. So Summers is in the pits. Ed Jones finds himself in 11th. Not a surprise as he crawls his way up. And just behind them is this battle right here with Westy and Vandergeest as Westy irks him way around, just squeaking through Vandergeest, taking that 5th position away from John. You can see the spray is definitely a part of the game now. There is Vandergeest right on him.
I think Westy knew that he was particularly weak into the, I believe it's Tozer corner, down into that left-hander. So he was able to take advantage on the brakes with a, I guess, much better traction and more heat in his tyres. And he's now dropped back 2 seconds.
Yeah, Vandergeest struggling as we've watched Westy get around the tire whisperer. But meanwhile, the battle up here is under 2 seconds now as Costas is starting to apply a little bit of pressure to Lars. And Lars knows he's been passed already once in this race by Costas, so he knows what he's to expect. They're up.
So now we've got the tyre stops out of the way. The strategy is now how long will the weather last and how long do these drivers feel like they can stay on the wet tyres, because another pit stop will drop you down out of the order and then you'll have to do some passing on track to make your way back up. So keeping these wet tyres cool and keeping them from melting, I guess, on a drier track. We'll just have to see how long this track stays wet. It's only 22 laps out of 60, so a third of the way through. So expect in the next 10 laps maybe the skies may clear and we may see a drying line, but drivers are just going to have to go by feel.
Yeah, I'm predicting soft tires for the last 10 minutes of this race. If that line does dry out. As the rain has saturated the track pretty good now, we are in a downpour. Let's get a look from the cockpit.
Sorry, Rob. It looks like Gil de Silva is in the pits, missing a front and rear wing.
Well, let's hope he can get that repaired and get back out. Just having 2 DNFs so far, we're just a bit away from halfway. It's pretty impressive. As Costas waked his way around your teammate, Ben. Currently in, what is he, in 14th? Going up. Merrick is up to 12 now. So pretty good recovery. After finding himself almost at the back end, 17th. So he makes a good comeback in the corn-fed Castaway. Okay, back to the tippy end. The gap is 1.6. Track is saturated. It looks like, judging by my tower here, that the last lap times Lars had a little bit of an advantage, only a 0.2 And let's see what happens when they cross now. We'll get an update on this last lap. Oh, a 140 for Hagerman and a 140.8 for Costas. So 0.2 difference on the good for Lars. So being able to hold that gap, it's about 2.5 seconds now.
Looks like we've had our third retirement, which is Phil Brown, unfortunately.
All right. What happened to the 12th place car of Mark Heitree out there? That really slowed up Costas getting through the traffic and the rain. I mean, there's you have to be so careful. So he lost a little bit of that chasing ability to Lars. Lars probably had a pretty good smile on his face after that one. There is Heitree. Mike now pressuring Van der Geest. So as we check with Jacob, as he bounces off the curbs, but he's got Van der Geest in his sights up there. You can see Van der Geest is in traffic.
Yes, another thing to bear in mind is, did these drivers go for the majority of a wet setup? Did they whack all the downforce on in the hope that it would stay wet for a significant period, or have some of the drivers stuck with the dry setup for the drier periods? It looks like a few people are really struggling with traction.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty wet out there. As Van der Geest gets around Gilles, and Gilles, no place to go into this chicane area, so Mike is going to have to wait to get a pass on. It's going to help Van der Geest. And Westy leading this pack for 5th place. Van der Geest is all over him as they bounce off the curbs. Steve Smith getting held up a little bit by the lapped cars in the rain. See if Van der Geest can make a breakaway. What's going on with the tipping point here? Oh, Costas going sideways just in time for a nice drift through the turn as Costas was closing there, and then he just lost it, but kept it pointing in the right direction as he drifted through that turn. That was pretty cool. Still keeping the gap under 2 seconds, 1.8. So very competitive up here, these guys. Jump back to the middle of the pack. Heitree and Merrick are going to duke it out here for 11th. Guys are a couple laps down now as they make way through. Meanwhile, back to Smythe, and Van der Geest. So, what John's looking at as they head up the hill.
So you would have expected that Nick Westy would have pulled away from John, and he did make out to 2 seconds when he just passed, but it looks like John maybe turned up his engine a bit because maybe he has some fuel in reserve, and he's all over the back of Westy down the back half of the circuit, but he can't quite get under the rear wing over the finish line, which is where you'll gain more time in the slipstream down to turns 1, 2 and 3. So it's a matter of him just getting as close as he can at the right part of the circuit, but again the spray is proving very, very difficult to see where the apexes are as you get closer to the car in front.
Yes, to your point there, you can see how Westy kind of ran away down that last sector 3, and now John down the start-finish straight heading into this last chicane of hell right here. And Westy has stretched his legs a little bit as they were a little bit tighter on the last lap, but let's see what John has for him right here as we ride on board with Van der Geest.
Heitree is off in 12th, and it looks like he's parked. He might be our 3rd retirement. Indeed he is.
Yes,
I don't quite know what happened, whether he had a collision with the wall, but he is our 3rd.
In the meantime, Van der Geest going for the pass. He's caught Westy down that straight. As you predicted, he got right under his wing. But Westy defending, they are bumping a little bit. Oh boy, we got a little bit and a spin right behind him. Was that who was that spun behind him? Was that Smythe? I believe it was Smythe. As Westy defending brilliantly. Vandergeest all over him, and Westy has been off, and Vandergeest gets the spot. And here comes Smythe. Smythe gets the spot. Nope, Smythe had it off as well, but now he's going to get him. So here comes Smythe on Westy. Westy gathers himself just in time as the tire whisperer Ed Jones is closing in on these two. I don't know if he's on the same lap as them. But what a break for Vandergeest. They were going toe to toe, side by side, and Westy just caught a little bit of curb and sent himself off into the grass, allowing Vandergeest to jump out front now. He's got some 8 seconds on him. But Smythe, who had that spin just before that incident, otherwise he would have got Westy as well, but now it's a battle between Smythe and Westy.
It looked like that all kind of stemmed from the corner that Nick Westy passed John last time around, and John said payback is fair, so
yes,
he maybe tried again and put him under pressure up to turn 4, and looks like Nick Westy just ran a little wide over the top of the hill, and around he went.
Yeah, good observation. That's exactly what happened. Good competitive move. Oh, well, who's in 15th? Gilles. Gilles is in the dirt. He's trying to get out. Watch out. We got traffic. We got the leaders coming around. Or was that just another Renault? I thought that was a leader. Saw the yellow Renault.
It looks like the gap for the lead has elongating a little. It was around 2 seconds, but Costas has dropped back to about 5, so maybe this is kind of a fuel save until the next pit stops. And I believe that Merrick and Summers are next, so they're dropping a bit like flies in this wet period.
They are. We've got all Summers, Hightree, and Merrick all out of this race now, which is going to move De Silva up and Stefan Winham up into 13th. So Stefan, who always seems to keep himself alive in these events, he doesn't get a lot of DNFs. He's always finishing. Might not have the pace of the other cars, but he's got the patience, and it pays off for him, especially in this type of racing. He's going to get some points out of this if he can keep in it. Meanwhile, Smythe,
so we got
having another off.
Go ahead.
Smythe just off again. It's noted that from 8th place.
So we do have points all the way from, it's 40 for first, I believe 36 for second and 33 for third, and points go all the way to 23rd place, so it's worth hanging around. I believe we have 19 cars this time out, so everyone will score.
Yep, and now if it stays as it is, last place will be 12th position points, so not a bad day if you can make it through. So Gilles is pitting again. Gilles is in the pits. Hagerman's lead is, well, he's closed it down a little bit. Costas has closed it to 3.5. It was up in the 4s there for a minute. Perhaps Costas had a dicey lap. Shot of the spray coming off of our leader, Lars Hagerman. There's going to be a break in this rain. It's pretty brutal. As we are at the halfway point now, this is lap 29 of 60. So once they cross the line, we will be halfway. And the remaining cars are pretty much all spread out at this point in time.
So I'm not going to give anyone a commentator's curse this time around, but Lars Hagerman, if he does keep going, he will be the second winner of this series. It would be the third race where he hasn't been off the podium, but Kanzur is currently down in 10th place in the championship because of finishing third in his first round, but unfortunately getting caught up in that accident on the line in the second round, so 10th in the championship, and this is going to bump him way up the order. So a good finish maybe in order for Cancerous, and Hageman is always there or thereabout. Bjorn, Lars' brother, he's 7th in the championship. He finished 2nd first round, but again, he was one of the drivers that got caught up in that huge accident at Kyalami. So we'll see where people are going to finish if they can survive this wet weather period.
Well, good job not cursing him.
Yet.
All right, we've got a quicker lap by Costas on that last one. 143.5 for Costas and 144.3 for Lars. So the gap has come down to 2.8. And then brother Bjorn was way back. So he's like half a lap behind in 3rd place. So the last step of the podium is about a half a lap back of these leaders. Some 40-odd second. As we checked with Costas. So traffic now for the leaders. Getting through the 10th place car of Ed Jones, the tire whisperer. He's just gotten around Jacob Smythe, and next for the leader is Ed Jones. Ed's a very savvy driver. He's going to, I'm sure, pick the right spot to allow the leader to get through.
So we've talked a bit about the top 3, who are kind of known quantities, but shout out to Bruno Paggiola in 4th, newcomer to this series, hasn't taken part in the first 2 rounds, and he's currently running quite a strong 4th place.
Yeah, look at him by himself, indeed, in 4th. He's just hitting his apexes. He's got no pressure from the front or behind. Vandergeest, some, way back there, some 18 seconds back. So yeah, nice run by the series rookie. Obviously not a rookie driver's position himself not there. Anyway, here we have going for the pass. Back to the leaders. It looks like Costas has caught him and gotten around. So what on earth happened? We missed all that. I was focusing on Bruno with you and his brilliant work so far, and Lars must have had an off because Costas just got around. We just caught the pass there, so we got to see the result, but we didn't see the means. But now back in the lead is Costas Contadores, as Lars must have had a little bit of a mistake in the rain, allowing that gap to close down to nothing and give up the spot.
Yeah, it does look like he was slower by 2 seconds on that lap, so maybe he did have a bit of a moment in the grass. Or maybe Costas has now turned up the engine, but they're doing 142s, 143, so they're way off dry pace at the moment, and they were doing 130s in the dry early on, so it doesn't look like it's really clearing. I can't really see too much rain. The spray hasn't disappeared, so we've probably got another 15 laps of rainfall, and then as we saw from qualifying, track doesn't take an awful lot of time to dry out, so do you see a couple of dry patches but none on the racing line, which is where it matters. So pass for the lead, but it's going to stay close until the end, I think.
Yeah, this is a really good battle so far. This has been a great race through the halfway point, as we are now officially into the second half of this race with another lead change on that halfway lap. So down the line here, we see the 2 leaders here. In 3rd place is Bjorn by himself in 3rd. 4th is Bruno, making his debut. A rather good one so far. And then
sorry to interrupt, Rob.
Go.
Stephen Wenham, looks like the engine is cooked. He's pulled to the side of the road, and that Tyrrell is smoking.
I'm on it. I see it. So another retirement. Good heavens. All right. He was in 11th, so that is going to be it. So now the top 11 drivers that finish, whoever's last will be in 11th position. good look at that chicane there. Some really nice camera angles on this track mod. Do you know who the artist was for this mod, this track?
Yeah, this mod was made by someone called 33 to 77, part of the ASR team, and they're basically making all of the 90s F1 tracks, and we've used a couple so far this season, and we're going to be using a couple for the rounds 5 and 6. So watch out for that.
Nice. For that. I believe that was De Silva, who's staying in it. He is going to inherit 11th place on his next lap. So kudos to Gilles for staying alive. He's just working his way up in a battle of attrition. Meanwhile, Bjorn all by himself. Bruno all by himself. All these guys have to do is concentrate on hitting their marks. But we do have a little bit of a battle for 5th place. The Westy and Jean Vandergeest saga continues as Westy is now catching back up to Vandergeest. Pretty much of a heroic comeback for Westy after his little offs there. But he's got it down to under 2 seconds now.
Yeah, I've just checked his lap times. John, 1:46, so he must have had an off. That's 4 seconds off his lap, his best lap time in the wet. So mistakes are creeping in after half distance. So this is another battle I think is not solved until the checkered flag.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we witnessed it when we saw the leaders when I think it was Cautious who drifted through that last turn 16-17 section. So yeah, anything can happen in this crazy weather. Nick Westy giving us a show here. It looks like the rain drops themselves have started to subside a little bit, and we're just seeing spray now from this cockpit view from Nick Westy as he's closing in on Vandergeest in that same tricky little Tosa corner. Turn 3. He has caught him, and he is going for the pass up at the top, up the Baratella, or wherever the heck you say it. Down to the 5, 6, 7 sector into the chicane. Vandergeest just hanging on. He is on the bumper. Here's Westy as they come up the hill to the Alta. Man, that spray is just ominous.
We did see that Westy was, even though he was a second back, he was gaining quite a lot through turns 1, 2, up to 3. So, is he turning up his engine, perhaps? Because he can gain about 15 kilometers an hour on the straight.
I would think that's a gutsy move with the track being so wet. But
yeah, and he's as close as he's ever been for the last few laps as well. So
I wish there was a way in the cockpit view to see if he had the engine turned up. Vandergeest stretching his legs a little bit on that last run, kind of trying to pull away. But still, it was 5/10 slower on that lap than Westy. So Westy closing the gap as the track is starting to dry out, I believe. I don't see any more drops.
Yeah, it looks like the rain might have stopped. There is a definite dry line going through turns 1 and maybe through 2, which is the fastest part of the circuit. But the rest of the circuit still looks pretty damp, especially through these slower chicanes, which have provided a bit of entertainment. These high curves.
I do see some drops in this segment that Vandergeest and Westy are in now. There are a few raindrops falling, but perhaps over by Ravaza it might not be as damp, because I'm seeing in these brilliant shots here that there are a few drops, but it is definitely a lot lighter than it was. We're at 35 laps in. I would assume that the rain is going to be stopping in the next 5 laps or so. Westy has caught the back bumper of Vandergeest. Keep it off the curbs. Oh, having a little moment there, hitting these puddles. We're on cockpit view with Westy, and he's going to the right to try and get out of the spray. As Vandergeest pulls away in that Ferrari. I think Vandergeest might have had advantage on that trade anyway. So maybe if Westy did have his engine up, he might have turned it down after catching him. But he's climbing up him now as they head into Tosa again. His favorite passing spot, and it looks like he's got an advantage again as he really closes. Heading down into Minerale with the curbs of death. It's almost a drag race up the hill now to the Alta. Yeah, see this section of the track up top, I don't see the raindrops. We're up at Barante Alta. And then down in Tamburello, there was drops on the last lap. So perhaps the way these clouds are moving through, just the tail end of it still over that sector 1. Oh, Vandergeest has his hands full. This is it. As Westy catches a little bit too much curb, and Vandergeest gets a little bit of a relief, but as you can see, that gap, 0.5 of a second, and Westy again pulling to the outside to try to get out of the spray. But I think it cost him. That's where he loses it, but then he gains it right back here through Tamburello. And by the time they get to Villanueva, he has just about caught him as some sun is starting to break through.
Yeah, a couple of drivers have mentioned that they do use their engine modes as like a offense and defense. So is John turning up his engine for the weakest part of the track, which it looks like he might be running a bit more wing. So he's turning it up on the straight, but then turning it back down through the twistier sections where there's not really a hope of passing unless he gets creative. But he seems to have it covered so far. Touch wood, I think.
Yes, I agree. He's doing a brilliant job of it. Oh, Westy is right under the back wing. Oh, Westy loses it and he's up into the grass. He got caught up in that. He probably lost some downforce. He was so close. Gave up everything he worked for. There goes that gap. So he's going to have to regroup and stage another attack as Vandergeest breathes a sigh of relief and pulls away. Gap is now about 4 seconds.
Yeah, it did look like it through some of the slower corners. He was on the throttle quite a bit earlier than Vandergeest, and the back was stepping out a bit, and John was just kind of keeping it composed. He knew that in certain sections he wasn't under threat, so Nick Westy just pushing the tyres a bit too much than they should have, and unfortunately spinning it halfway around, and he's got to do it all over again. So
cautious now, just getting through some traffic.
P2 is now in the pits.
Aha, Hageman. Oh, he's going to slicks. I can see him from here. He's put on the dry tire. That is a bold move right now. This track is soaked still, and there's still a lot of spray. This could be the call that makes it or breaks it.
So he was about 4 or 5 seconds behind the leader. Does Costas react?
I can see no spray here down the straight for him as he's heading into Villanueva, into Tosa. Let's see what happens. There's a little bit of spray there. Man, can he make this work? If he can make this work, it'll be a brilliant move. Very curious to see what kind of grip he has down in this section. When we get to the lowest part of the track here, you know it's going to still be pretty soaked down here.
I mean, and I imagine that Costas is looking at Lars Hageman's lap times to see when he needs to pull in. The crossover point is near, I think. The track looks dry in sections, and it doesn't look like he's suffering with grip at all as Lars Hageman comes through the chicane.
Oh, I
It looks
agree.
like it is drying very, very quickly. Now the sun has come out.
So what will Costas do? Where is Costas? He's not pitting this lap. He's staying on the wets for one more round at least. And this lap, of course, won't show the time yet. So this next lap for Lars will tell the story. That was a 1:51. So about a 20-second pit stop exchange, I would say. The time it takes to slow down, get in the pits, and get out. As Costas is coming up on Westy now, it looks like.
So Lars was only able to put in a 1:41.7. His first lap on slick tyres, but Costas will still be able to pump in a 1:37.7. So 4 seconds difference still. So the crossover point is not quite yet for Costas to jump on those dry tyres, but we'll just have to keep an eye on the pit lane.
Yeah, and perhaps this next lap on Lars, with some heat in these tires, he might be able to push a little bit more. Meanwhile, Westy has caught Vandergeest yet again as they make through the traffic.
Third is in the pits. Bjorn Hagman is pitting.
So Bjorn going in for the dries. Probably on comms with his brother saying, hey, the dries are working. Might be a little bit of team communication going on there. Where was it? I thought Vandergeest and Westy were a little bit tighter than they are, but I guess, is that Costas? Okay, he's in. Costas pitting. He's coming off of the wet. So let's see where Lars is now. He's going to take it. Just coming through the chicane. Is Lars coming out? Costas made it out.
Keeps the lead.
Wow, that was a quick stop by Costas. Keep the lead by some almost 4.5 seconds. But now he's going to have the cold tire syndrome. As you can see, Lars' last lap was a 1:35. So he's definitely making it pay off now. As those times are just going to come down, I would assume, every lap. So we've got a couple of nice battles developing here. We have the Nick Westy, Jean Vandergeest battle for 5th, and this battle for the lead with the dry line becoming very apparent now. So here is Westy. The 2 seconds back of Vandergeest, so he's still on the wets. And I believe Vandergeest is as well. So these, yeah.
No, Pagiolo is pitting for third. So he's probably going to lose third place to Bjorn Hagman. Don't think he's quite going to lose the place to John Vandergeest because he still needs to come in. But Bruno out the pits in fourth.
Nicely done. Now,
John's coming in with Nick Westy right behind it, looks like.
I'm showing Bruno still out on the wet. I got a glitch here. In fourth. Still on the
he's
wet.
definitely on mediums.
Well, maybe I'm not focused on him. Anyway, it's the mystery. Nick Westy.
Westy, yep, he's made it out of the pits in front of John.
Yes, and now they're both on the dry. So there's definitely a little graphic glitch. I'm sure it's showing Vandergeest on the mediums too, yes. I don't have the tire thing up, but I'm in full screen right now. But it's probably just a graphic element of R Factor 2 is showing them still on the wets. Well, some of them showed the change, but for others not so much. Meanwhile, 1.5 seconds is the gap to Costas by Lars for the lead. He is closing in. Costas' last lap was a 138 and Lars was a 135, so there is the difference. There was some traffic involved in that too, so. Costas now also trying to get around. There's a 2-car. That is Vandergeest, Philip Pichler. After the pit stop, Pichler finds himself in 5th. Now in between the leaders as Costas gets around, and now Lars will be next as Pichler kindly pulls over to the left, letting the leaders through. So Vandergeest now down in 7th after stopping for the dries. And
Yeah,
let's see.
Pichler was one of the only drivers that was still on wet tyres along with Gilles de Silva, so Pichler is now pitting for dries, hopefully. And I would imagine that de Silva is going to be pitting not long after that.
And it looks like once I refocus on the drivers, the tire glitch has gone correctly. They're showing John on the slicks. And the same for Bruno is not showing West anymore. So that was just a matter of me clicking off of them after their pit stop and clicking back on them to see the dry tires. So everything's as it should be now as we have this last 20 something laps. What is it, 28 laps left? Or is it 18?
Yeah, 18 laps to go. We're now all on dry tyres, so it's just a matter of who's got the pace, who's got the fuel consumption down to be able to run their engine as high as possible for this last stint. It's now an 18 lap sprint to the end.
It's tightening up, the 1.5 second gap for the lead. We are going to have a nice race to the end here. As the tire whisperer lets Lars through now. So the top two are through the traffic for now. And they got some clear sailing until they come up to Lorenz. We haven't heard from Lorenz after he had a little bit of action earlier. He's still holding on to the top 10. Currently in 9th, a lap down. Having a nice race is Lorenz. Jacob Smythe has had some incidents, but he finds himself in 8th. As we step back up to this battle for the lead. 1.5 second gap. I believe we're going to start breaking into the high 20s here in a lap or two. As the last lap is 131 by Lars. He's closing in on Costas with a 132. His last lap was Costas's. And a 131.8 for Lars. So chipping away.
So the only other battle we got on track at the moment, John is closing he's closing slowly but surely on Nick Westy again. He was about half a second or so quicker. And he seems to be riding the curbs a little more, so he's got to be careful jumping over those curves, but he's definitely closing, and the battle will be resumed for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, as you were mentioning that, well, I did focus in on him, and I saw it was Westy who bounced off the curb to give John yet another 10th on his battle to catch up. Currently some 2.2 behind. Just winding the throats of that Ferrari. Chases him up the hill. So good stuff there. Meanwhile, 1.2 is the gap to the leader. Chipping away a 10th at a time on Costas' lead. It's about 3 or 4 tenths quicker on that last lap. Let's see what this lap time entails here, and they're curious as what Costas is going to be able to put up here for a time, because Lars is definitely catching him. Costas hits a few curbs there. So 130.6 and a 130.2 for the chasing Lars. So 0.4 of a difference, and the gap is 1.2. Meanwhile, Vandergeest and Westy, they're getting around Ed Jones, giving way to Vandergeest in his pursuit of 5th place, just down by some 2.3 seconds. Lost a little bit of time in the traffic, but still making way.
Fourth place. Sorry, Rob. 4th place has.
Oh, I see that.
Blown up.
Oh my God, he's on fire. Bruno is on fire. Get out, Bruno. Get out. He is having a barbecue right there on the side of the road. Oh, man, what a tough break for Bruno. He was running so good. So, radiators closed, engine turned up, perhaps. Man, that is unfortunate for Bruno. But a good baptism in the first round. Really did a good job of really showing that he is worthy of driving in this championship. Could have got himself, but all he had to do was finish top 5. I believe he would have had it. So that's going to move Westy and Vandergeest both up a spot. As for Bruno, and if Gilles can finish in the top 10, that's what's going to happen. He's going to be in the top 10 now, just for hanging in there. So we're down to 8 cars out, 10 cars left. Got about 14 laps remaining. And the gap is under a second for the lead. Really gaining on him through Minerale.
Moments like this, I wish we had like the split screen facility, because there's 2 battles on track at the moment. I'm keeping an eye on battle between Nick Westy and John Vandergeest, and it's pretty similar in gap. So, but we're concentrating on the battle for the lead, because it's very close indeed.
Right, as Costas gets a little bit of relief there. It was under, it's still at about a half a second.
But also, Rob, we do have some indication of how far these guys are pushing. So when we stopped on board for on Lars, you could see that red light popping on, which is probably a sign that they should be shifting, because you don't want to run into that red line too much, which is probably what Paggiola did, blowing up his engine. So you've got to be very careful hitting the red line with these cars, because they do not like over revving the engine.
Down to this Westy Vandergeest battle. They start yet another lap. Westy holding his own there. But Costas did a little bit better, a few tenths better on the last lap over Lars by a few tenths. They're both into the 29s now. They've got traffic. They got the 8th place car of Lorenz just ahead there. See them closing in behind here. Those are the 2 leaders just behind Lorenz here. And they are duking it out back there. Holy smokes, it's really tight. This could be a pass for the lead. He put himself right under the wing, but as we saw before, that could take some of the downforce off of Lars's front wing, and we saw what happened to Westy. So you might want to hang back at this fastest part of the track right here. Let's see what happens as they bend into Tamburello. Lap traffic going to play a part here as Lorenz staying in front, but realizes the leaders are closing. Have to find a spot to let these guys through. As I see Gilles currently in 11th, having spins off here and there. He's off the track right now, but he's back on track. You saw him turning yellow on the track map there. And I want to thank the Tiny Pedal for providing this track map for us. It's brilliant to be able to use that here for broadcasting. It really helps. Shout out to those guys. Or that guy. Okay. Oh, as we see, yeah, Lorenz just getting out of the way. But who else is that? Who is that stopped? That is Gilles again. Is that Gilles right there? Yeah, that was Gilles. So he was right at the start finish, or the main straight off the track.
Yeah, it looked like Lawrence was trying to get out of the way for a couple of corners, and he looked kind of tentative, as if he was like saying, Costas, come through, but couldn't quite. It was a little bit clumsy in the end, but he was able to let the leaders through. They didn't lose an awful lot of time, so battle resumed for the lead.
Right. Yeah, pretty similar gaps for the battle for 5th and 4th, rather as well. Let's see if we jump on board with Van der Geest. I would assume these guys are turning their engines up now.
So we're back into the 129 range. We're still not down towards some of the fastest laps of the race, which is a 128 that was done by Costas. But it is just a matter of, the track is bone dry, but I'm still seeing a little bit of wetness here and there, so they have to be very careful not dropping off of the dry line. But as I say, most of the areas of this track are completely bone dry, particularly through turns 1 and 2. That was the first bit to dry out, but can we get any closer?
As you say that, Lars puts the fastest lap of the race.
No.
Correct, right? So, with a 128.1 for Costas, so just a few tenths quicker.
That was an inverted commentator's curse.
Yeah, right. Brilliant laps, the 127. I don't believe there's a fastest lap point in this series. It would have to be for all, actually this being the Series 3 of the Sim Racing Online World Series, the 3rd series of the year, with 1 to go still to crown a champion. I believe they've come up with the next car pack too, but I'm not going to reveal it quite yet. So what's happened with Westy?
John Van der Geest has dropped back to about 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just following him now. So did he have a little bit of a moment, or is he conserving? Realizes we are down to the last 10 laps of this race, so whatever you have left, I think they're going to be breaking it out here with 10 to go. Probably about 16 minutes of racing, 17 maybe. About 27 a lap for the leaders. Smythe turning in a 128.4, pretty good lap for 7th place. Let's get a look at Jacob there. Staying in at 7th place. He's had some incidents, but he's maintained his 7th place position. And another nice run today by Philip Fischler, currently in 6th, who's had a pretty stable race. But meanwhile, back to the tip top. Costas is now also into the 27s with a 127.3 on the last.
I was looking at the stats, and the biggest winners and losers so far of this race Kanza has obviously qualified third in this race, but we saw that he was it second or third, I can't remember. He made a stunning start to be able to take the lead early on. So he's was able to get past both the Renaults, who both lost a place. Nick Westy has come all the way from 8th all the way up to 4th place. And John Van der Geest has only dropped down 1, but the biggest gainer so far, the person that's still running that is Ed Jones in 9th. He's come up 5 places.
As we mentioned earlier, it seems to be the case with him. He's very stable, very steady, and he's so good on the tires.
Drivers are now down to the 126s.
Every lap gets faster and faster until one does it turn around. They're on the mediums, did you say?
I think most of them are on the soft. There's only a couple of people that are on the Pichler and De Silva that tried for the mediums. So
Okay.
these softs, we did have, is this 20 laps of dry running? They seem to be holding up quite well.
Yeah, we've got 8 remaining. But the gap is under a second, so we definitely have a race for the lead here. Yeah, certain parts of the track where Lars is able to catch him, but then Costas just pulls away. So maybe running a little less downforce is Costas.
They're looking at the sector times. Just on the last lap, Costas was about 0.4 of a second faster in that first sector. Lars is putting purple sectors in the second sector. So they're very equally matched. And Lars goes around.
Yep.
I cursed him.
Ah. Wow, there goes our photo finish. Well, he's got 7 laps to catch up, but that's going to be a tall order at 7 seconds at the pace these guys were going. They were just within a tenth of each other. So that could be the kiss of death for Lars. Just lost it there. Probably, like you said, a little bit on the accelerator trying to get a good exit. Just put a little bit too much into it. Rear end came around. Wow, that is a huge gap with only 7 laps to go. So meanwhile, Van der Geest, now the closest race on track between him and Nick Westy. You know, being second in the championship, this isn't going to hurt Van der Geest too bad. Even with a 5th place finish, it's going to keep him right up towards the top. Van der Geest was about a half a second faster on that last lap. So trying to close that gap down. Hi, I see Carl Stieg has joined the chat, and I agree with you, Carl. This is a great version of the track. As he's chimed in on the live chat. Good to see you on there, Carl.
I was just checking the onboards, wondering, looking at the surface of the Westies and Van der Geest's tyres to see how worn they might be with 20 laps in, but they look pretty spotless. No, I haven't seen any significant lockups from either of them, even though they are pushing.
Yeah, I've got the
last lap around, John Van der Geest, I think, may have run track limits because it's invalid lap, but they were trading sector for sector.
Yeah, there's a pretty good little battle going on here. You can see, well, I'm on focus on Van der Geest now, and maybe a little bit of wire on the inside of those slicks, but yeah, on the front. But nothing really noticeable. So here we go, 6 laps remaining. Was that Bjorn having trouble in 3rd? Was that him that was really slow at the pit in? Who's in the other Renault? There's Lars was it Bruno was in a Renault, but he burned to the ground, did he not? Or was he in a Renault?
No, it is the Hagman brothers. So Bruno Bjorn is about to be lapped by his brother Lars at a certain point.
He's going to lap for the last step on the podium. Is going to get lapped, which is not uncommon in Formula One, as we see it every day. Really, not every day that third place gets lapped, but that is something. Meanwhile, Westy Vandergeest, he's got it to with under 2 seconds now, does John. So I would say it's time to throw it all in now with 5 laps remaining. Does Vandergeest have enough juice left and enough tire left to catch Westy? Westy's a pretty tough hombre. You know, he's won a lot of the series at Sim Racing Online. He is a champion, so curious to see if he can hang on. Meanwhile, Costas' lead is still 7 seconds, so I don't see a threat to the lead unless he has an incident. But Vandergeest is caught right up to Westy, so we're going to have a nice little battle here for 4th place.
So I was just checking the stats of these cars that Nick Westy is in a Lotus Renault. It's under Renault Power in 1984, and obviously John Vandergeest behind it is in a Ferrari. These cars are equally matched for this mod, as we see Westy hopping over the curbs.
Yeah.
Not the way to do that final chicane. So the cars are equally matched, but it's just dependent on who has the fuel economy left, or who has the fuel left to be able to turn up their engine. He's now in the slipstream up the fastest part of the circuit.
So I'm looking at 8th and 9th, but they are a lap apart, are they not? Is Ed Jones and Lorenz on the same lap? I think there's a big gap there because they were close together on the track map and I thought it might be a battle, but I think they're a lap apart.
We saw this from the first 2 rounds, that the majority of the field do get put a lap or a couple of laps down just because there seems to be some really fast guys in this series, and they are kind of showing what they can do in even the first 3 races. So there's definitely the championship is still going to be very, very tight. I don't know if the championship lead is going to change hands today, but
oh no, we've
as
got
Westy spins.
Oh, that's going to give John that spot. Oh, and that's going to make Tony Talvitier very happy as he is cheering on from the live chat on the YouTube broadcast, saying hi and go John, does Tony Talvitier say. So Talvitier, I think, had to work today. He's catching a little tail end of this race here as Vandergeest is going to find himself in 4th now. Tough break for Westy. Now, we knew Westy was having those issues. He was pushing it, hit some curbs, and once again, I think, as you said earlier, he was just trying to get a good exit. Might have been on that throttle a little bit too early.
And you've got to be very careful with these cars as well. They can be very touchy with downshift. So it looked like Westy came down the hill and perhaps locked the rears on downshift, maybe putting far too much energy into those rear tyres or into the rear axle, and just unfortunately did a handbrake turn at the bottom of the hill. So John can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, good observation there. I didn't see it as it happened. Was that Costas we saw jumping the curbs there? Yeah, it was. Okay. So his lead is almost 8 seconds now. Here is Lars hanging on a lap ahead of his brother Bjorn for second. So all they have to do is finish these last 2 laps. And Vandergeest really going to help himself out there with the points, thanks to his buddy Nick Westy. And Pichler, having a great race, finds himself up in the 6th. Very nice. Jacob Smythe in 7th from MRG Racing. Lorenz Van Roggen in 8th. And Ed Jones, so iconically named the Tire Whisperer by Woody, in ninth. And Gilles, survival mode in top 10 for Gilles, just for staying alive. Nice job, Gilles. All right, back to the leader here as we are about to cross to start. I think we got 2 laps left. This will be completing lap 58 here. He comes around. Variante Bassa. So there, after 59 laps, about a 9-second gap now. So Lars is just resolved to just completing laps and hitting apexes. There's no sense in the challenge. He probably will be able to boast to his brother that he lapped him. So that was his victory, as there are the 2 brothers. Second and third, a lap apart, but a brilliant run by these 2. These guys are really quick. Round 4, what's going to happen. And then Vandergeest pitting. Vandergeest not only pitting, he's off the road. What is John doing? John's in trouble. Vandergeest is hurt. He has no wing. He's staying out on the track with no wing. Oh my gosh, is he going to give it up to Westy? Here comes Westy. Westy is going to take that position back as Vandergeest is in no condition to complete a lap without incident. He has no front wing. Oh, he must have got it all wrong. And there he is with no wing. Oh, man. And he's off again. Vandergeest. Oh, what a tragic end. Good heavens. John. Oh, there it is. What was so close, John. Oh, Westy takes it back. Boy, was that the broadcaster's curse on Vandergeest? We don't know, but it looks like he lost it in that last Variante Bassa. He must have put it off because I thought he was pitting, but apparently he pitted into the wall. So, what a tough break for Vandergeest. He's going to DNF, and that's going to put him in 10th position. It's going to move Gilles up into 9th. What a tough break for John. Ah, tragedy strikes gear racing. As we carry on. Lap 60 with your leader, Costas Cantazoras. So will this be the checkered? Is the white flag out? Or do they do one more after he crosses the line?
Should be it.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's lap 60 is posted. And here we go. Just a couple of turns left in that treacherous area where Vandergeest just lost it. Here is your winner, Costas Cantazoras, taking round 3 at Imola with a brilliant run. But no, there is a lap. See, now it says lap. So I thought that was lap 60. Now it has to be completed. Right?
They are done.
Are they done? Okay.
Is the winner. Yep.
Okay, good enough. Then Lars coming through with his brother, second and third. Bjorn, brilliant run by these 2. What a spectacle today during the rain and everything. Tough break for Vandergeest as well as the other DNFers. LaBelle, Strohal, Phil Brown, Ben Summoners, Mark Hightree, Randy Merrick, Stefan Winham, and Bruno, who put up that brilliant run in 4th place all the way to the last there. And then Bjorn Vandergeest, the latest to join the DNFers. As we see Jacob Smythe and Philip Pichler coming across the line. Wow, what a great race. Where is the session results? Here we go. Whoa, hello. Everybody's having fun now. They're all over the place. What a celebration. These guys should celebrate. That was one heck of a challenge today with that rain. Brilliant race. Really enjoyed it. Great commentating, Woody. Really nicely done. And let's put up this session result. There you have your winner, Costas Contadores, completing 60 laps in first place. Lars Hagman, 60 laps in second. And then Bjorn in third place at 59 laps. Philip Pichler gets fourth place over Smythe. Westy coming in sixth. So what happened there? Did we miss? I thought Westy was going to be fourth. So something happened there. Did Westy also have an incident that we didn't pay attention to? Interesting development there. Did you see any of that?
I'm just checking my. Yep, sixth place. I don't know what happened to Westy in the final few laps.
Right. Maybe Vandergeest is off. Made him have an off. But anyway, there it is. Vandergeest is seventh. Laurent Van Hogen. Oh, there we have two cars showing in seventh, but that is obviously eighth for Laurent. Ninth for Ed Jones. 10th for Gilles, and then the DNFs. I think what's happening is the cars are not getting past Ed Jones because there wasn't enough laps. I mean, past Vandergeest, who DNF'd. That's going to show him ahead of Ed Jones and Gilles. I believe that's how that worked. But there are your DNFs: Bruno, Stefan, Randy, Hightree, Summers, Phil Brown, Carl Strohal, and Michael LaBelle bringing up the end. So, man.
Now, I can give you the provisional championship points. These are provisional. So it does look like Lars Hagman is extending his lead in the championship with 112. John Vandergeest stays in second somehow with 87, and Philip Pichler is now third with 82, with Costas not far behind. He jumps up from top 10 up to fourth place in the championship with 77, and Bjorn Hagman again jumps up to fifth place in the championship with 71.
Wow. Nice. Good info there. All right. Well, as you can see, in 2 weeks, we are going to France for round 4 of the French GP. And what track is that, Woody?
That will be Dijon-Prenoy, or Prenois, rather. Forgive my French accent. But Dijon,
all good.
If you know anything about Grand Prix racing, Dijon-Prenois was the battle between, I believe it was Gilles Villeneuve and Renault driver René Arnoux, banging wheels all the way through the turn. So the track will be familiar if you know about that battle. And we are running the 1982 version of the circuit.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that said, that's going to put an end to today's broadcast. It's Woody and Crow been bringing it to you, and we look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks for a round 4. So with that said, we are off like a prom dress, and we will see you later.